Oh, thank you.
Aha. 5-2-6.
Thank you.
Ach so, ja. Hätte ich auch mal ohne gekommen. Ja.
Kilometrin lenkki, joka sisältää tuon S-nousun, se sisältää tuon kiven nousun täydessä mitassaan sekä totta kai tuon tiukan rankan jyrkän seinänousun. Ja sen seinänousun päällä siinä pitää jaksaa tehdä sitten töitä, kun tullaan tuolla ampumapenkalle ja ennen pitkään sitten myöskin maaliin. The men's marathon is 15 kilometers, so we are using this 3-kilometer lap, which consists of 3 beating lines, first line, and then the line of rock total distance, and of course the steep rope climb towards the stadium. And also it's really important to keep the pace at the top of this climb for shooting range, and especially when coming to finish. And there we can see the route for today's competition. Ja talvella nähdään nyt myöskin reittikuva tuosta 3 kilometrin lenkistä.
Neutralna skala 3-километрового круга, как я уже говорила раньше, мужчина бегает 5 кругов по 3 километра, общая дистанция 16 километров, 2 лёжки и 2 стойки, чтобы соответственно будет стрельба. Температура воздуха минус 1 градус, температура тела минус 4. Очень высокая влажность, 77%, очень холодно на улице. И ветер до 8 километров в час сегодня максимально обещается.
Lähtölista numero 1 number 1 Martin Vulkaan, numero 2 number 2 Janne Stingesbø, number 3 number 3 Antosh Pulinparinen ja number 4 Jakob Park, numero 5 number 5 Arto Pfeiffer, numero 6 number 6 Tarja Bø, numero 7 number 7 Simon Estiö, numero 8 number 8 Lukas Hofer, numero 9 number 9 Simon Schemp, numero 10 number 10 Lars Helmi Virgalante, numero 11 number 11 Benjamin Berger, numero 12 number 12 Quentin Filon-Maillet, numero 13 number 13 Benedikt Dohl, numero 14
So the mass start now just 2 minutes away from getting underway. Slightly disappointed with the crowd numbers, but hopefully it will increase as the day goes on. This is one stadium where more people support the women's race than they do the men's, and that's because this is the home of Kaisa Mäkäräinen, who will be racing in the mass start a little later on. Now let's have a look at the head-to-head between Fourcade and Bo. As you can see at the top, only 11 points separating them now after Martin Fourcade sat out of the sprint event. The sprint World Cup rankings, Johannes has a little bit of a lead. And with 2 sprints to go, that could go either way. The individual title they've shared, and the mass start will the advantage to the Frenchman.
Patrick, it's taken, what, 6 years before there's a real challenger to Martin Fourcade's dominance in biathlon over the last 6-7 years. So it's great to see Johannes so close, and maybe a pity for Johannes in some way, because he began to tire. Certainly yesterday it looked that way. Jakob Falk, though, he knows how to pace this, how to manage himself well when it comes to hitting targets.
Arndt Pfeiffer, the Olympic sprint champion, and of course he was the world sprint champion a few years back in Khanty-Mansiysk. Tadej Bo, one of only 4 men to have won a World Cup this season. Chapulin 2 days ago becoming the 4th man. And so the honours have been spread around sparingly, and Fourcade and Bo hoovering up. Lukas Hofer, what a victory for the Italians in the mixed relay yesterday, Mike, and Lukas did a very, very good job.
He did, and all 3 of his teammates said, we knew that if Lukas was in that lead group, he'd win it. So they had total faith in him, and let's hope we can do something similar today.
Now, does Martin look a little off colour? Not to me, he doesn't. So the top 30 in the world essentially racing here today. Top 15 in the World Cup always get to start in the mass starts, but those on form are also racing here today. The front row made up by Fourcade on the far side, a little bit lighter than he was 2 days ago, having had gastroenteritis for 3 days or so. Johannes Tingesbo in the middle and Anton Chapulin on the near side. At the very back, and taking it very easy, is that thought it was going to be Leif Nordgren, but actually we'll just check on number 30.
Yeah, Leif Nordgren at the back there.
Oh yes, it is. Yeah, my mistake. I was looking for a different coloured suit, and he's looking very comfortable, just cruising along. Planned for this race, Mike, I guess you've just got to wait and see what those up front do with the pace, and who's going to want to push it.
I hope we see the start again. Martin made a very decisive move across the group to his left. Now he's on the right side. Didn't really know what he was trying to do there, maybe tucking in behind Chapulin. But you just get the feeling this first 3 kilometers, it's quite a tough one. 5 times around a 3 kilometer track. You just feel the first 3 kilometers is going to be quite easy, not fast at all.
We're hanging Tingesbo. He's not hanging around at the moment. As you said, he looked tired towards the end of the relay, but he had to work pretty hard on the first 2 loops, so that might have explained that. But he did the single mixed relay rather than the mixed relay. What do you think the thinking was there?
It was a good team. When you look at Johannes in any team, it's a good team. But when he was paired up with Olsbu, recent form, of course, the medals from the Olympic Games, I thought there'd be a sharp team, a winning team. But he struggled a little. He struggled maybe more on the range than on his track. Well, Martin, just think, he's yes, I thought he looked a bit slim on the start line, but he's had 2 days off from racing. He's had quite a period off from racing, so you just feel he's going to be a little more energized than the rest as the race unfolds.
Well, Bo at the front, to me, looks very relaxed at the moment, Mike. I guess a question mark with Martin Fourcade. You know, he had to sit out the sprint race because he wasn't well. Gastroenteritis is horrible, and, you know, we all know you lose a little bit of weight when that's going on. The question is, how quickly can you recover? Can he be back to full strength today, or do you think he's going to get found out at 13, 14 Ks?
He's so, I mean, they would have monitored him. They've got good advice. There's a shooting coach video, but he's got good advice. He'd have been given all the nutrients to replace, to get himself back on track. I think he'll be fine. We'll have to wait and see. It was quite interesting. He went through the 0 the previous day. He went through marking his rifle with 8 minutes to go. It was as if he was going to race. I felt when I watched him doing a 0 that it was the most strange 0 I've ever seen him do. He normally pulses up. He took it so easy. I thought it was just strange. So clearly they were maybe trying to affect those around Martin. Johannes especially.
Yeah, I'm surprised the team didn't keep him away from everyone else, to be honest. If
yeah,
you know, if he was contagious at that stage, but he obviously desperate to defend his lead in the World Cup, and it's turned into a very pedestrian pace, which no one's going to be complaining at this stage of the season. They'll live with this.
Oh, look at that! Sorry, just looking at Benny Vega, he said, "Come on, give me a pole." I think the Italian didn't see him, or anyway, he gave him his spare pole,
and a long one by the looks of it. So Vega will be swapping that, and the Italian may never see it again.
No, I don't. He'll honour it. It's great to see the track in daylight, and it's great to see the other hills, the other climbs, and you just get a sense of how difficult, how testing this track is. What do you think? They're on about 82 to 85% of the maximum at the moment.
If that. But the key here, Mike, is to focus on the prone. You can't ski at this pace and then miss a target. And if there's anyone in that leading group of 4 or 5 who's going to miss a target, it will be Johannes Tingesbo, because he goes for the fast chute. You've got to match a ski like this with just as careful a chute as normal.
That's so true. And the race really will start after the first prone. It's so good to see Ole Einar Bjørndalen. He's wearing bib 25. He tried to get through some traffic there, but it's not worth it at this stage in the race.
So remember, 5 laps of 3 kilometres and only 4 minutes 42 on the clock at the moment.
Here's the wall.
Yeah, looks slightly bigger from this angle, and certainly looks steeper from above than it did from that previous shot. But this will punish you if you take the first one too fast, and still the pace is steady. Now, Mike, if you shoot clear on the first shoot, do you think we're likely to see a similar pace for the second lap, or is it going to accelerate dramatically?
Oh, I think it's absolutely going to accelerate. So the race really starts after the first shoot. Sometimes in recent times, Martin has pushed this first 3 kilometre pace. Today, he's just hunting in behind Johannes Tingesbo. That Lindstrom there. Yes, it is. His greatest moment, crossing the line there in the relay at the Olympics with a small Swedish flag. That's all he could get at that moment. I don't think they were expecting a win. They were hoping for a medal, but maybe not expecting a win.
Well, Bo's done all the donkey work on this fast lap. Yes, he's skiing at his own pace, and he's free to use whatever technique he likes, but he's still done a little bit more work than Fourcade and Chapulin just behind him. One of the issues of having a superstar like Fourcade in your team, Mike, is that no one else ever gets mentioned. And you know, Phil Maillet having his best day of the season a couple of days ago, and Dessieux has been pretty solid all the way through the year as well.
Yeah, it was nice to see the changes when Martin wasn't at the races. He's always at the races. Very rarely has a bad day, but he's back, and it changes the racing as well. When he's in the race, most people are looking for a second place, or with a bit of luck, gaining a podium. So everybody has to drop into the lane which corresponds with their number this time. The next time, it's an open range.
And that means that the favourites are all side by side. Fourcade in 1, Johannes Tingesbo 2, Chapulin 3. Lane 4 is Jakob Fack, who was 3rd in the World Cup standings, but lost that slot to Chapulin 2 days ago. And Arndt Pfeiffer in 5. Watch for the yellow flashes. Martin Fourcade has gone to throw one wide. Nice long wait for Johannes Tingesbo. I think he's under strict instructions just to make sure.
Martin
2 misses from Fourcade. Chapulin gets 5 out of 5. Is he on his way to his 2nd win in a row? Could well be. Dessieux gets 5. Further down the lane, Phil Maillet, Lesser, Aberhart, and Babikov. Keep an eye out for Julianne Aberhart. He's definitely dangerous after what we saw yesterday from him. He's wearing bib number 16. The Austrian suit, red, white and black. There he goes, and tall figure, so he's easy to pick out. Bjørndalen avoided the penalty loop, I think I'm right in saying. Yes, he did. He's only 8.4 down on the race leaders.
So many have shot the perfect 5 out of 5, as we'd expect on a fairly easy day of shooting. In fact, 17 have shot the... It's about average, actually. I thought there were a little more. But Martin Fourcade, what on earth happened? His first shot's back in anger, and he missed 2 out of 5.
Yeah, now that could be Very significant in terms of the fight for the World Cup. Now, we should say, Mike, that your worst couple of results come off, so not racing in the sprint, he doesn't effectively lose any points. Had there been a pursuit following, I seem to think he would have struggled round whatever pit stops he had to make. Now, high left with...
Probably the same the second, yep. Well, he was very lucky on that edge at 9 o'clock. That was his everything high left. He'll get the adjustment.
It's one of the best groups we've seen in the season so far, but just shifted slightly too far left.
Well, Jean-Paul radioing out onto the track, giving the fall of the shots, suggesting that he should adjust the rifle on the right-hand adjustment by 4 clicks right and 2 clicks down. That would get him central.
Now, Mike, being in lane 1, obviously that's where he's zeroed, but would you agree with me that lanes 1 to 3 and 27 through to 30 can have the most variable conditions, because the angle of the wind, if that changes a fraction, it can have a significant change on the rotors and the compression of the wind at the side of the range.
Especially, I think you're right, especially in lane 1, 2 and 3, you're getting all the draft. There's a big scoreboard up there, but you get a stronger influence on the flag closest to you. And it comes in from the back right, so it does affect those in lanes 1 to 5, really.
Yeah, but just slightly harder to read.
It's strange. I mean, he zeroed on that lane, Matan, and I'm surprised that he was so far off. I think it was more his alignment than the wind on the range.
Well, that's interesting. But would it be fair, in an ideal world, would you have 10 metres with no construction, no buildings, no sheds to the side of lanes 1 and 30?
I think you still get that effect, influence, don't you? The drop over, if you build a big wall 8 metres away, you still get some pressing down of the wind. The wind does strange things.
Well, there you can see the names of the top 10. Fionn Maillet only 8 seconds behind. Oleana Bjorndalen now 9.5. The pace certainly a little bit harder than it was early on. Question is those who did one penalty, generally 25 seconds behind. Tarjei Bo was the first out of the penalty loop. There he is. And he lost 25. And in terms of Martin Fourcade, Mike, 2 penalty loops, and how far back was he?
42.8, and I'm surprised, a good number of athletes, 8 athletes missed 2, Rastegurjevs, Fourcade, Lapshin, Labilund, Kuhn, Bjontegard and Vega.
And Fourcade still at 42.5.
I thought he looked a little green when he came into the range. he looked great at the start line, but he looked a little green to me, so it's maybe still suffering.
Yeah, normally he will have closed down 5 seconds, at least 5 seconds, probably 10 on the race leaders. Johannes Tingesbo, he doesn't want to know anything about Martin Fourcade today. He's got to take his mind completely away from the race for the Crystal Globe. You know, as the script writers, we want him to do well today. We want the final 2 rounds of the World Cup to be a cliffhanger.
We do indeed, but I think it's really exciting now. Well, Martin Fourcade in 23rd position, 42 seconds adrift. Is he going to pull it back? Well, most likely.
We've seen him on many occasions. He's now started to accelerate a little. You can just see the yellow bib in the background. In terms of Johannes Tingesbo, Mike, do you think if he got the yellow bib heading to Oslo, do you think that would be a good or a bad thing?
Now, there you go. It adds another flavour. Nobody's really had that yellow bib the last 6 years, except Martin. Touched a few people in the last 6 years. He's carried it most of the time. So it would be something new for Johannes.
Now, do you get a new yellow bib every race? And you keep it, don't you? You get paid for wearing it. So yeah, he's made a lot of money by being the yellow bib wearer.
Well, he's so used to dealing with pressure. And he took his time there in the prone to build his position. He locked in tight as he always does, but he'll be amazed that he missed those 2 shots.
Yeah, but I was impressed that Johannes Tinges took more time on the first shot than anyone else.
Johannes, and he said the other day that you know, it was nice to get through the shooting without the prone. He has had the odd issue recently, so he's maybe got his confidence back again.
Julianne Aberhart looking menacing in 4th place, number 16. Tucked in behind Johannes Tingesbo, we have Simon Schemp and Anton Shapulin there as well. So there's a lot of competition. What about Pfeiffer? He's still up there, went clear on the first shoot. He's in the top 6 at the moment. 15 going through, you will recognise as Eric Lesser. And Julianne Aberhart still hanging in. He's lost 6 seconds since he exited the range. Picard is coming. He was, the last count we had, he was it 42? He was 42.5. Is he getting any closer?
No,
34, 35, 36, just a fraction maybe, but not a significant amount. 38.9.
It's not bad, but the Picard on form, he would have pulled back 10 seconds on his time from when he left the range, because Johannes hasn't pushed it too hard at the front.
Now, if you think Picard's shots were missed because of poor alignment, is the coach reading that as well and saying don't change the sights, or is he saying everything went high left, change down?
If it's poor alignment, which you would not expect, but I just can't understand when you zero in that lane and you're so significantly far over it, I'm just surprised. It doesn't normally happen.
Do you think we'll see a change in sights?
Yeah, so what they'll do, they'll anticipate that Martin's alignment was amazing as always, and he'll say, right, three or four clicks to the right, 2 down.
But he's not going to be in lane 1 this time, so that changes things as well. And you can see the wind
is from
just
the left,
built from the left a little.
So that would put Martin central again, offsetting from that wind, pushing the bullets to the right, so he may well be central.
Now this is where the race really starts. Second prone shoot. And normally we're reduced to a group of 10. At the moment we've got some 16 athletes within 20 seconds.
Well, that wind is significantly different, so it is from the left again, as it was when they were zeroing. I think Johannes adjusted.
2 misses from Desieux. Chapulin has gone and missed his first shot of the day. Johannes Tingesbo, 4 out of 4. Piper is away, the Olympic sprint champion, and Johannes Tinges seemed to rush that last shot. That could prove so expensive. Lol Bailey of USA goes 5 with 5. Lindstrom of Sweden, can he match the American? But it's Germany 1 and 2. Julianne Aberhart of Austria in 3 at the moment. And Martin Fourcade on the range, going through the paces. The first 3 are down. We didn't get to see if he changed sights, but the targets are falling. I assume he did. 5 out of 5, and he's only going to be some 10 seconds behind his great rival, Johannes Tingesbo. The race remains on between the top 2 in the World Cup standings.
Don't you love biathlon? He's having a look up. He's looking ahead as well. Where's Johannes Tingesbo? He's checking the scoreboard. That's his main focus at the moment, clearly, Johannes Tingesbo.
Yeah, and in some ways he needs to do the same as Johannes Tinges and just forget about it. Just race how he can race and no one else can.
Good to see him back there. He's definitely not quite as sparky on his skis, but good to see Fourcade shooting back.
Okay, where did this go? The wind was from the left.
I would say low right at 5 o'clock.
A rushed shot.
He rushed it, yeah, he snatched it, 5 o'clock.
So here are your leading 3. Benedikt Doll, the world champion sprint athlete, Arndt Pfeiffer, the Olympic sprint champion, and Julianne Aberhart, who won himself a few World Cups last year. It's been a disappointing season for Aberhart, Mike. A lot of illness in the Austrian team early on, and he's taken a while to recover.
He has, and setbacks. It is good to see, very good to see Aberhart shooting back. He's got 10 out of 10 in the prone. I'm still a little nervous when it comes to his stand shooting. Johannes Tingesbø, he's got it to 21.
Yeah, he was 24. Martin Fourcade was at 39, so only 15 seconds between Bø and Fourcade, and Fourcade gets it to 35. So they remain 15 seconds apart. But Fourcade working hard at this stage. No one's got the luxury of taking it easy anymore. Tadej Bø goes through, having missed, what's he missed? He's only missed one. He missed one on the first shoot, but he's now 49 behind, as you can see. So there's another man who's struggling at the end of the season, and they've still got 2 weeks to go.
It's busy, it's busy. What's so good to see for me is that Ole Einar Bjørndalen is second Norwegian right now. It may not be glamorous, it's 17th position. It is good, it's 41 seconds behind, with plenty of this race left. Just 20 minutes, 19 minutes gone on the clock. So, yeah, over halfway now, really coming into this first of the 2 stand shoots. And again, it's so important in this race to get the targets. Go into that penalty loop, you lose between 21 and 23 seconds. And then you combine the pain of the penalty loop coming back out onto this course. Look at the climb on this section. There's a worse one yet to come. Aberhart looks so composed, so relaxed. In second place.
Johannes Tinges on his own now. No one else prepared to make the chase.
Well, Bø was 24 out of the range, but in 7th place. He's certainly moving up the ranking. Yeah,
Fourcade is gaining ground as well, and slowly working his way past his teammates. Guigenat just behind Martin Fourcade now, but the leading group, they've had a nice steady ski. They've all done a little bit of leading, and now we'll see who's prepared to keep the pace up as they approach the 8.3 kilometre stage. The third shoot at 9 Ks, and they've got what, 2 minutes before they go through the first of the standing shoots.
Look at Johannes Tingesbø in the background, so from 7th to 4th, and just making a little gap ahead between him and Moravec. Moravec going well, back to his normal great shooting, 0-0 so far.
11 points the difference in the World Cup standings at the moment. And you know, Mike, I know Martin Fourcade had a pretty poor start with 2 misses in that first prone, but he is the master of a comeback in the mass starts, and we've seen him in the relay chase down what, 30-40 seconds. Which relay was it? Was it the men's relay or the mixed relay in the Olympics, where he closed a gap of 35 seconds?
It was amazing. I think it was the mixed relay. Stefan Boutiot running alongside him, giving him the information that he needs. The 2 stand shoots coming up, first of the 2 coming up now. You don't really need adjustments to your sights because it's a much bigger target, 11.5 centimetres wide. It's not a big target when you're standing half a football pitch away. Just bigger than a large orange. The pace is calming down, as you'd expect, into the range, just trying to drop the pulse after the steep climb up the wall. And you still suffer. The wall was only 30 seconds ago, so you're still struggling to get the pulse and the breathing under control.
These 3 athletes have all hit 10 out of 10 targets. 8 are clear at the moment. 1 or 2 of them have not been able to maintain the ski pace. Moravec of the Czech Republic has hit 10. Bailey of USA hit 10. Jakub Fak also hitting 10. Now, Jakub Fak needs to beat Anton Šapulin today to try and get himself back up into the top 3 of the World Cup standings. Šapulin currently lying in 9th place. He's last time we saw him, he was just ahead of Martin Fourcade.
Now, with the wind from the left, Patrick, I'd far prefer to be here where Pfeiffer is than I would to be where Dahl is. Not much difference, but you're a little shaded from that wind.
Well, Fourcade has made the best gain on that last 3-kilometre loop and now finds himself just 4.5 seconds down on Johannes Tingesbo. A miss from Aberhart, one from Dole, extra 150 metres. Chance for Pfeiffer to take the lead. He's going to do just that. Great shooting.
Johannes has missed the first.
That's expensive. And the third. 4 goes down, has to get 5. So 2 misses from Johannes Tingesbo. Martin Picard is taking it steady. Once he realises that his main rival is on the penalty loop, it's going to be a very different situation. How things have changed over the last 21 minutes since that first prone shoot. So out comes Aberhart, now chasing a 15-second gap on Pfeiffer.
Well,
Anton Shapulin's going straight on. Martin Fourcade is going straight on. Number 21 is Antonin Gigenar, who didn't miss any targets that time round.
Björn Dahlen having a nightmare. He's missed 3. Oh.
Well, that's a shame. I don't think we're going to see too much of him. Johannes Tingesbo is on. Is he on his way out? He's still only halfway around that second lap, so it's going to be a very, very expensive shoot for Johannes Tingesbo. And suddenly that might be the move that loses him the Crystal Globe this season.
Well, Johannes Tinges, his spirit will be a little down. It was going so well. He's missed 2. He missed them quickly. And now he's got to try and close that gap on Martin Fourcade.
Pfeiffer, solid as ever. A repeat of his performance in the Olympic sprint. Mark Kirchner has to have liked what he saw there from Arndt Pfeiffer. And Pfeiffer with only 1 win this season. That, of course, coming on the biggest occasion. What's he had? He's had 1 other podium apart from that, Mike. He was going pretty well in Antolz.
Yeah, you saw his form coming together in Antolz. Arndt Pfeiffer, he's so strong, and I think the fact that in his wildest dream he said after that Olympic gold medal he didn't expect a gold. He didn't really expect a medal that day, and so he was so relaxed on the track and on the rifle.
It was a tough day for shooting. It's a lot easier here today in Kontiolahti, although there is a significant wind blowing left to right.
And let's be honest, when you're brought up on that shooting range in Oberhof, the windiest range really alongside this one, then you should learn the skills. You should be more aware of how the wind works and how to aim off and adjust the weapon.
Now, is Julianne Aberhart managing to close the gap at all? He was 15.1 behind. We'll find out at 10.2 kilometres. Pfeiffer, Aberhart, Dole, Chapul in the top 4. Martin Fourcade still 22 seconds off the lead, but significantly he is now 32 seconds ahead of Johannes Tingesbo. Has got some serious skiing to do if he wants to get back into contention and close the gap down in that World Cup standings race.
The best 30 in the world, well, the best 25 and the 5 on form here, so it doesn't get much better. Yet there's only 2 of the athletes so far who's hit 15 out of 15, and it's Arndt Pfeiffer in the lead and Anev, the Bulgarian, who's in 11th place, 48 behind. Stefan Boutio seems to be all over the track. He's here, then he's at the top of the big climb.
Eric Lesser shooting 14 out of 15 so far. This, as many of you will know, is Andre Morovets, and he's also hit 14. Fak Bailey the same. Johannes Tingesbo 3 misses, so he's done an extra 300 metres on the guys surrounding him. That's how hard he's been skiing, but still not managing to close down on the race leader. 55 seconds off the pace of Arndt Pfeiffer, and even Johannes Tingesbo, I don't think, can win this one, but he's got to hope that Martin Fourcade misses on the last shoot. It's happened before.
It has indeed.
It's rare, but it has happened before.
But can you believe it, that Martin already is back to 3rd place? I mean, he's just phenomenal. Makes mistakes, and there he is, 3rd place at the bottom of the hill, closing all the time. And sometimes we've seen it so many times, actually. If he makes mistakes early on, his mindset is so strong. He puts that behind him, and he moves on to get all of the next shots. But fatigue plays its part at this stage of the racing season. After the glory of the Olympics and then the back home for most athletes, and then you've got to pick yourself up for 3 more tough World Cups.
Well, Pfeiffer still looks fairly unfazed by the situation. His lead was at 15. It was cut to 13 by 10.2, and they've still got the biggest climb of all to go. And Aberhart doesn't look to be in a hurry to close that down. He's got to make sure he hits the next 5 targets. Won't be so happy to see the yellow bib draw up alongside him, which may well happen before he comes in for his final shoot. But Pfeiffer has done nothing wrong so far. And this undoubtedly his best World Cup performance so far.
Pfeiffer's mass start race at the Olympic Games, I thought he was going to be relaxed, but it was a difficult night. He shot 1-0-1 and then 2 penalties in his last, or from his last 5 standing. He looks more composed today, and if he just sticks to routine, he may well be the only athlete to hit 20 out of 20.
He's never won a mass start, so that might play on his mind at some stage today. He's won 2 pursuits, so a similar sort of situation. But he's now had the lead in this mass start for, what, 15 minutes or so?
It's impressive.
Shared it with Simon Schemp earlier. Chapulin and Fourcade together.
I'm so pleased on this hill. They've built the walkway for all the way up the hill. The spectators can't believe the pace. There's Stefan again in another part of the track. But it really lets the athletes feel the spirit of the crowd up this climb. Eric Lesser beginning to look tired. 4th time up that climb, just 1 more time to go after the last stand shoot.
Yeah, Lesser, another man from Oberhof, so he won't mind if Arndt Pfeiffer wins this one. Good news for the club at Oberhof.
Arndt Pfeiffer, as he turned left up onto the bridge, he had a good look behind him. It's good news, it's still 12.6 back to Aberhart.
Yeah, someone's basket on the snow, but it's neither of Pfeiffer's. Just looking 100% focused. Now, Mike, he has a slight cant on the rifle in the standing position. Is that something you would coach, or is...
As long as he does it all the time. I mean, if you cant the rifle, it offsets the fall of the shot massively. So he's built that into his biathlon game. But no, I mean, the best way is to try and keep it set. Then the brain just reads that straight up and down reading all the time.
And of course, if you have to change the sights, it's a lot easier.
So much easier if you're canting the rifle, and some do. But
Here we go.
They tend to keep it the same in the pro and the stand. Martin, he's fought hard here.
Martin Fourcade looking for his 7th win of the season on the World Cup. Of course, he took the pursuit Olympic gold as well, and the mass start.
The race is wide open.
Yeah.
Arndt Pfeiffer did what he did at the Olympics. He missed 2 out of 5 in the stand.
Oh. So Julianne Aberhart has 3 down, 1 ahead of Martin Fourcade. The Austrian, if he clears the last, he throws it wide. A chance now for Martin Fourcade. He was right at the back of the field after the first shoot. Well, he's going to be right at the front after this shoot. Remarkable recovery from Martin Fourcade. Maybe, you know, he was ill. He pulled out of the sprint race earlier in the week, but he didn't race yesterday, and that has to have been a good move from Martin Fourcade. But he's got Anton Chapulin chasing him. That could be interesting, Mike, because Chapulin is on the form of his season so far.
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, Chapulin, he'll be after another victory. He's got 4.9 seconds to pull back.
Johannes Tingesbo, it's going from bad to worse for the Norwegian, who was in such a good position after the first shoot, but with 2 more misses, another 300 meters, he's going to be, he could end up back to 60 points behind Martin Fourcade in the chase for the Crystal Globe, and I hope this doesn't turn out to be the race that decided it.
Oh, well, Johannes is struggling. Clearly he's struggling on the range. The mindset has gone, fatigue, absolutely. But what about poor old Arndt Pfeiffer, in by 12-second easy cushion, and then he just lost his way with those last 5 shots.
Incredible turnaround, and such control, because Fourcade didn't rush that shoot at all, Mikey. It was a long time before his first target went down. Out goes Lukas Hofer. We've got Fak in 15th, and in terms of clear shoots, still only 1 man clearing all the targets. That is Krasimir Anef, because Pfeiffer missing 2 badly.
That was an absolute, both of them were just flinches, snatches through the rifle, fearful. Oh, really, that's such a pity for Aberhart.
Frank Badiou, he's seen it before and he was probably expecting it again, but it is not over quite yet. The 60 points is going to have to be worked for, because Chapulin is looking strong and he's looking menacing there in second place. He tucked in behind Fourcade on the last loop. He's just got to close it down. He needs to be in touch before the bottom of the hill, Mike.
Well, that's what I thought, but Martin, the amazing tactician that he is, he's really pushed hard to make sure that Chapulin wasn't able to close him down into this section. This will be an interesting battle. I think the advantage clearly with Martin Fourcade.
But, you know, if a bit of gastro doesn't stop him, what will?
Is it possible to stop him? Missing 2 out of 5 first time in. He clears the next 15 shots.
Now we'll get another time split fairly shortly from Martin Fourcade, going through 13.2, so they've still got 1.8 kilometres to go, and Chapulin's closed it down on the first uphill section. We're in for a cracking finish here.
Wow.
Fourcade's lost a lot of sprint finishes in his time, and look who's coming back as well. Julianne Aberhart he was 17 behind. He's closed that to much less than that, but he's in a hurry, is Aberhart, because he needs to be within 5 at the bottom of the final climb.
Now, Anton Chapulin, his best strategy is just to stay exactly where he is, but you just get the feeling that Martin won't want to lead all of this to the stadium, and I think if it does come to the stadium, the last 50 metres, Chapulin, for me, has the advantage.
But it's a short finishing straight, Mike, so you know, you can't afford to sit behind for too long, and if you do try and overtake, you're going to have to go the long way round as you come into the stadium, so maybe Chapulin will try and fight for pole position on that last right-hand turn.
First, you're right, this stadium especially, the first athlete gets the much better line into the home straight. Oh, it's brewing up to be a beauty.
Well, the bad news for fans of Johannes Tingesboe is he's down in 20th position at the moment. Looks as though this is going to be one of the races that he doesn't count at the end of the season, but he's giving away a massive advantage to the man in yellow and red.
And Ole Einar Bjørndalen, his great comeback, unfortunately, he's missed 6. He's in 27th position.
That's a disappointing race. Chapulin looking pretty comfortable in second, and all the while Julianne Aberhart is closing. It could be a 3-way sprint for the finish unless they pick it up. This is a great picture, isn't it, Mike? Shows you just how steep this particular part of the course is.
It's horrible, it's absolutely horrible, but then the bad news is it gets even steeper because they've got the wall before the stadium, and that's going to zap the energy out of their legs. And
Fourcade will probably go, if he can, with 15 metres of the climb still remaining. That's generally what he tries to do. So here we go, the last crucial part of this race. There's one more stiff climb to come, known as the wall. Should be Killer Hill. It's an absolute brute of a climb at this stage of a race, with 14 kilometres already in the legs. Aberhart has got agonisingly close, but I'm not sure he's going to see any action in the sprint for the finish.
Oh, well, there's the little bit of recovery, and let's be honest, it's about 12 seconds where you're in the track, the legs can get some recovery, the breathing, you can get it at least down a little, not so much gasping for air, then the wall approaches you.
And it's a nice wide track, so Chapulin can choose his moment unless Fourcade comes on the inside. A little change in tempo from Martin Fourcade. It's very, very early to go from the bottom of the wall. He's going to have to keep the agony on all the way to the top. Chapulin still in second. Aberhart has closed well on that flat section, Mike, while Fourcade was having a little bit of a breather. So it would be fantastic to see the Austrians. They've not won a World Cup so far this year. Still Fourcade looking for his 7th win of the season. Chapulin looking to make it 2 in a row, having won the sprint here 2 days ago.
Now this will be an interesting, you mentioned the best line is with the first athlete into the stadium, into those home runs. It'll be interesting if we see any strategy, gamesmanship into the last 80 metres.
It's German national championships for the minor placings. Doll ahead of Lesser, ahead of I think that's Pfeiffer just behind them, who threw his chance away of getting the win. and Chapulin has gone down. Now we'll get a replay of that. It may well be his own mistake. He may have planted the ski pole in between his legs, and now you sort of feel that Aberhart might have the measure of Martin Fourcade. He goes the long way round. He's got the right-hand turn into the finish. Just under 100 metres to go, and it's Austria's Julianne Aberhart, who was 17 seconds down coming out of the range. Fantastic recovery from him, and Martin Fourcade is not putting up a fight. He's got to be careful because Chapulin's closing pretty quickly on him behind.
Chapulin was destroyed there. If he'd got onto his feet faster, he may well still have had a chance for a second position, but that fall has wiped him out for a chance of first. Well done.
Aberhart gets the win. Was he saying what happened there, or do you think that was an apology? We'll see what he does when Chapulin comes across the line. Not interested in Fourcade. He's going straight up to Anton Chapulin,
who better keep the pace up.
Yeah, nice gesture.
Well.
Yeah, that's very nice to see from Julianne Aberhart. We'll see the replay. Aberhart, obviously, with a slightly guilty conscience. He must have been involved in some way. If you put your ski down on top of someone else's, Mike, their ski stops dead and you carry on.
And when you look at Aberhart, he's 6'6" nearly 2 meters tall. He's got a big framework over that little bridge. He takes up a huge amount of track.
But great race and good fighting from Aberhart. He took advantage of the little bit of cat and mouse. Will there be a protest from the Russian team?
He's clearly feeling guilty. No, unfortunately, it's just one of these things that happen when you've got over 2 meter skis at the end of your feet up a steep hill. But I thought Chapulin, I thought he may do it, and that would have been a big statement after not going to the Olympics, to have won 2 races at the back end. But he's got a first and a third now.
Well, Martin Fourcade has taken his World Cup tally up to 886. I can't see his second position, 888 actually, because he gets 54 points for finishing in second place. And Johannes Tingesbo down in 19th place, which gives him 22 points. So he goes on to 845. That's about the biggest margin we've had at any stage of the season.
And for Johannes, it's his worst World Cup result this season. Yes, he had worse at the Olympics, but it's his worst race of this racing season. Yeah,
so that one will be taken away. And you can still see from the body language of Julianne Aberhart that I think now he's a little bit nervous that there will be a protest, and he might find what can they do about that?
Nothing really, unless he cut off or deliberately blocked, then the jury could view that, but I don't think so.
Didn't Chapulin get taken out in, I'm trying to think, Slovenia one time? Pakuka.
He's had a couple of unfortunate ones.
Well, what a race, full of drama, and just shows that in biathlon the one thing you never do is give up, because Martin Fourcade was at the back of the pack after the first chute, having missed 2 on that first prone chute, and true to form, he comes through with some brilliant standing shooting, 10 out of 10 in the stand, and it put him back in contention for the win. I think we finally saw, didn't we suggest at 13k we'd see the difference? Now this is where the little
it's Julian's,
I'm not sure I think Aberhart was good in a way, because he kept the skis together. Still not clear from that. We need a super slow-mo and we need a slightly different angle, but I'm not sure there's a camera available for that.
Julian's certainly feeling guilty, but there was nothing intentional there. No, it's just racing. He shouldn't feel guilty.
I don't think it was the skis interfering. It's possible that his pole came down on the ski of Chapulin, because Chapulin went down very, very fast.
Maybe that's what happened. His skis were certainly out of the way, and I thought it might have been a ski trip up, but possibly. He's still feeling terrible. They'll tell him, get over it, you won the race, it happens. And Julian, well done to get his shooting back. He only missed 2 as well, and clearly the faster pace at the end. He's in good form at the end of the season.
Yeah, he was he was starting to show a bit more pace in the Olympic Games. He started well in, he got a 4th place in Östersund, the very first race of the season, the individual, which surprised us a little because it's usually the sprint where he excels. And then he just faded and nothing was happening, nothing was working, couldn't ski, couldn't shoot. But he's come good, a little bit, well, there are quite a few athletes in that bracket. And often when you change your training for the Olympic Games, Mike, it upsets everything.
It does, and you put all that focus, energy on 17 days of racing.
And only one man clear after all that, Krasimir Anev.
Well done, Anev.
Should be a little prize for that. He's down in 17th position. And there you see the second sheet, Johannes Tingesbo right at the bottom. He's now 43 points behind Martin Fourcade. And this was race 17 of 22. So we have 5 individual races still to go. So 300 points still up for grabs. It's not gone forever, but he hasn't done himself any favours today by missing so many targets in the standing chute.
I think fatigue, Johannes Tinges missing 5 in total. That'll be a little worrying leading into Oslo.
So we head to Oslo next weekend. On Thursday we've got 2 sprints, nothing on the Friday, day off for everyone, and then pursuit and the women's relay on Saturday, and then the women's pursuit and the men's relay on the Sunday. Slightly unusual programme, but a good one, because the fans don't want to turn up for 2 pursuits which are over in a flash. They get a relay and a pursuit. Lots of drama. Should be fantastic in the Holmenkollen Stadium. They might have cleaned up after the Holmenkollen 50 yesterday and the women's 30 today. One of the best races of the season so far. But well done to Austria, well done to Julianne Aberhart. He's taken the win here.